Hi, Lee Phillips here. I want to talk to you a minute about treatments or drugs for ALS. There are currently 4 drugs approved for ALS. The 2 primary ones are riluzole and Radicava. Radicava was approved in like 2017. Christy actually qualified for it. It was $125,000 a year. And we were surprised that we got approval from the insurance companies, Medicare, to do that. We never did it though. The promise of, or the hope of Radicava was a 35% increase in life expectancy, so that was a third more life expectancy. Riluzole we did try. We tried it early on, and it made her very sick. Not feel good, sick to her stomach, and its claim, hope, whatever, was like 30 to 60 days longer of life. And if you're going to be sick for the good days, why would you want 30 days on the back anyway? So we quit that. We actually tried it twice, and it did the same thing to her twice. There's a lot of research out now on amino acid called serine. Serine is a white powder, and it is just white powder. It's one of the 20 amino acids. They've pretty much established, and I'll have a bibliography for you that you can click on and see some of the articles about the serine. It's been through phase 1 testing in the FDA, and basically phase 1 just establishes whether or not it's safe. Well, duh. It's an amino acid. You can buy it at all of the nuts and berry shops or the health food stores and stuff. And it's relatively expensive if you buy it at the nuts and berry shops. It runs about $1 a pill if you buy it in a pill form. And Christy was taking 50 grams a day at the end. So 50 grams a day at $1 a pill, and a pill's a gram. That works out to be about 50 bucks a day. I don't think so. You can get it in large quantities. You can buy it in 1,000 gram, kilogram, or you can buy it the way we do in a 25 kilogram bucket. That's about 55 pounds. And we just scoop it out of the bucket. It's in a double bag, so you can see that there are chunks. That's because the humidity's gotten to it. When it first comes, it's powdered, and it's in a double plastic sack, so you try and seal off the double plastic sack very carefully and keep the humidity in the air out of the serine bucket. But if you do it this way, it turns out to be about 4 cents a gram. So Christy was taking $2 a day. Is that what? Right? Yeah, about that. Which isn't too bad. It's pretty cheap, actually. The insurance won't cover it because it is not an approved medication for anything that I'm aware of anyway. But we believe that it substantially helped Christy. When she first started, we could see the vesiculations. As the nerves die, they vesiculate or they twitch. And our neurologist down here, who was a good friend of Christy's, and he wouldn't diagnose her. We had to go to San Francisco. I think he just couldn't say the words, because I knew what she had a month before we got diagnosed. But he says there was a buff guy in town that had ALS, and he'd take his shirt off and it looked like there were worms crawling under the skin on his chest. They were the vesiculations or the contractions of the muscles as they were dying. We used the serine. We started out at 10 grams a day and didn't really notice anything. Then we went to 30 grams a day, and the vesiculations stopped. I think I can say that the vesiculations on Christy stopped because of the serine. She never had vesiculations after that. So that was good, because the vesiculations are apparently quite annoying, to say the least. So it may have gotten rid of that problem. I don't know. I can't prove it, but we think it helped. It's not bad to take. Christy originally was taking it in cold water, and then she wanted to go to England to see where all of her genealogy was from. She was a genealogist. So we went to England and would ask for a cup of water in the morning, and they'd always bring her a cup of hot water. And so she started to take it in the cup of hot water. And it worked pretty good. Would give her 15 grams in the morning, 15 grams in the evening. And a gram is, well, we had a scale and would actually measure it out. But if you take a heaping teaspoon, not the tablespoon, but the heaping teaspoon, heap it up, dump it, it's about 12 to 15 grams. And I take 12 to 15 grams a day as a preventative. I'll talk about that in 2 seconds here. But at any rate, we would actually measure it out, and you know how to use a scale. You put it on and you turn it on and then it tears itself, or you can tear it, you can get it to zero. You buy the scales at Bed Bath & Beyond or on the internet or wherever. They're 15, 20, 30 bucks, something like that. And we'd just mix it in a cup. It went down a little better with warm water. It tastes like Sweeta, the artificial sugar, so it's really not bad to eat. I throw it on my oatmeal in the morning, and then I use oatmeal as a brown sugar delivery device anyway. So I drowned it in brown sugar, and I never know it's there. There may be a little aftertaste to it. I brush my teeth and it goes right away. But it's not bad. It's pretty pleasant to deal with. The serine, we think, stopped the fasciculation. Phase 1 study in FDA said that they think that it increases life expectancy 85%, which is huge compared to the Radicava or the Riluzole. It's pretty well shown now that ALS is a result of the motor neuron brains and the cells in the brain dying and then never being able to send a message from the brain down to the muscle. Muscle never gets a message, the muscle atrophies or dies, and that's basically the progress of ALS. And it will attack every muscle that you can control with your brain. You can't control your heart. You can't say, heart, stop beating. You can't control your gut. You can't say, stomach, stop working. But you can control your breath. You can control your voice. You can control your limbs and your fingers and your eyes and everything else. And ultimately, ALS will take out every muscle that your brain can control. The brain itself is dying. The cells in the brain are dying. ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's have been known for decades as the tangled diseases. When they do an autopsy, they can see that in the brain cells, the proteins, they should be in a specific shape, but they have tangled, and the cell in the brain has died. So what causes that? I'm going to refer you to a couple of videos and a couple of articles, but the short story is that apparently what is happening is the brain builds the cells, the proteins in the cells. You take the 20 amino acids, serine, lysine, glutamine, alanine, and you remember that from high school chemistry or biology. They take the 20 amino acids, and depending upon what sequence the 20 amino acids are in, you can build different proteins in the body. In every case, one of the researchers has sequenced those proteins in the tangles, the dead cells, and they call the tangles plaques or taus. But in these tangles, they've sequenced the protein, and in every case, there is a rogue molecule called BMAA, beta-methylaminoalanine. Alanine's one of the 20 amino acids, so this is an alanine with an amino, an NH group on it. And in every case, there is in the sequences, there is a BMAA molecule in place of a serine. And they theorize what happens is the body is short on serine. Your primary sources of serine are bacon, eggs, and steak. Oh, what have they told you not to eat? Bacon, eggs, and steak. So you're not getting enough serine, and you are exposed to this toxin, this BMAA. It comes from what you know as the green algae on the 10th hole water course trap at the golf course. It comes from the lakes. They actually did a study in northeast United States, and if you live near a stagnant body of water that has green scum on it, you're 25 times more likely to get ALS. They plotted all of the ALS cases in the northeastern United States. So it comes from the cyanobacteria is actually what it is, but from the green scum in the water. And this toxin gets into your body, and I'm going to call it a DDT type toxin in that it doesn't slough out. It concentrates in the tissue. If it crosses the blood-brain barrier, it is then used by the brain. If you're short on serine, it actually replaces the serine in the sequence of proteins as it makes up or sequence of amino acids as it makes up the protein in the brain cell. Well, it doesn't exactly fit in the hole, so to speak, and so the protein in the brain cell can't hold the shape that it's supposed to be in, and the way they term it is it folds back on itself, tangles, and the cell dies. If it's in the cognitive area of the brain, it's called Alzheimer's. If it's in the motor neuron area of the brain, it's called ALS. And ALS is a very rare disease, actually. What have we got? 13 million some odd Alzheimer's in the United States today. We've got 4-ish million Parkinson's in the United States today, but there are only like 30,000 ALSs. So it's actually quite rare. But it appears, and the research is still ongoing, and the Alzheimer's and the ALS Association is not supporting this research. They don't really want to solve the problem, in my opinion. And this is all my opinion, you understand that. So don't quote me. But the research is going on, and it appears that if you have a sufficient supply of the serine, even if your body is exposed to the BMAA, then it doesn't use the BMAA. It uses the serine when it produces the proteins in the brain, when it sequences the amino acids, and you don't get these diseases. So it may be as simple as a food supplement, basically. So we're working with the serine. Like I say, we got Christy up to 50 grams of serine in the last days of her life. It's not bad to eat. It's pretty cheap if you buy it in the big bucket, and you can. I'll give you the sources that I've used, but it works pretty good. You get the scale, you do the serine. And I've seen it help my father-in-law substantially with his dementia. So maybe they're onto something. We don't know yet, but the research is ongoing, and it looks pretty hopeful, actually. So that's the serine. I don't think it's going to hurt you. It's an amino acid. Phase 1 FDA said it didn't hurt you. So they're now in phase 2 testing, by the way. So they may be able to mix it with something and make it better and make an actual drug out of it. But right now you can just get the serine, and we thought it helped.